Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of my live tea tasting. I've got a great blend for you guys tonight, and I am seriously just like dying to drink some of this because it has been smelling absolutely delicious for the past 15 minutes. I brewed it 15 minutes ago, and right now everything smells incredible. So tonight's blend is Tillula's Granny Smith Oolong, and it's ooh, this is really good. My entire apartment smells like apple juice right now. Hey Snea, welcome. Hey Andre, welcome. Thanks for joining us. So I'm super excited. It smells like apple juice, and I love apple juice. So before I get into it, I'm gonna make myself wait a little bit longer. So we'll take a look at. Picked up the wrong one. The tea itself is a Taiwanese oolong. You can tell by the way that it's balled up in a little pellet, twisted and turned, and it's really nice and chunky. So you know that it's going to release a lot of flavor once the leaf opens up. So in here we have TheCommuni-Tea oolong, which is. It's made in I forgot the name of the region that makes it, but it is Taiwanese, and dried green apple bits and natural flavoring. So yeah, this is all natural. This is a flavored blend, but as you know, with the hey Teresa, welcome. As you know, the oolongs that are bald and tiny, they very tightly. They tend to release a lot of flavor. And I did a TheCommuni-Tea a few weeks ago at the beginning of the of Tillula month, which is now becoming Tillula month and a half because we had so many. Hey Ma, welcome. We had so many samples from that mystery box, so I had everything served up for me. So you can see you can see the liqueur on this. It's very light and see-through. It's got the color of a little green / yellow / it's kind of, it's hard to really describe. I can't think of anything that that looks like this kind of green yellow. I don't know why I'm drawing a complete blank. But as you can see, it's super duper clear, and it's got a nice rich color to it. So I'll go ahead and take my first sip, and I'm dying. My mouth is literally watering for this. Ooh, that is good. You can't really taste so much of the TheCommuni-Tea. TheCommuni-Tea has a very distinct orchid kind of scent to it because it's roasted in a specific way that brings out the floralness of it. In this case, I'm drinking a lot of the apple, and it tastes like apple juice. There's a really nice sweetness to it that it doesn't really need sugar or anything. This is really good. And there's a certain kind of watery trail on the tail end of it. So it tastes more like on the apple juice side rather than the apple cider side, which is absolutely wonderful. I can see drinking this iced and not getting the actual sugars and stuff that you would from a regular apple juice. This one tastes the way an apple juice should. And it doesn't taste, it tastes like extra appley, if that makes any sense. It tastes like the actual fruit rather than anything that's apple flavored. You know how when people juice an apple and they have all these additives and preservatives in it, it adds too much of a sweetness. This one tastes like actual apples. and it's really it's really difficult for me to like not drink everything right now. I love the way that this tastes. It's nice and fruity. The apple flavor is extremely vibrant in this. It's naturally sweet, naturally juicy, and my mouth is still watering for more. I'm like, I mean, I'm telling you, when I say that I'm struggling not to drink all of this now, the struggle's real. And it's like so hard for me to take little sips at a time. So I'm gonna put this off to the side, distract myself a while by showing you guys the actual leaf. Now, as you saw before, the leaves were all balled up and tightly wound. But after, let me see if I can get a big leaf. There we go. Oh, no, this one's broken up. Here we go. It's got to be a good one in here. So we have the whole leaf. It doesn't look like this one is specifically 2 leaves and a bud. It's just one whole leaf. I don't see any buds in there, but as you can see, I was able to extract a lot of the flavor, rather than finding that these are still kind of sort of closed. Like this one is mostly open, but it could stand to open up a little bit more. So I actually kind of bent the rules a little bit, and I steeped this at, what was it, 190 degrees, give or take, and I did it for 5 minutes rather than 3 because you did have like the full pellet that was completely closed, so it could stand extra heat and extra time as it's steeped, and I think that was just perfect, because like this, because it was so closed, and I used a lower temperature, because I used a lower temperature at 190, I was able to extend the time, and it's perfect. Like I got all the flavor out that I was going to get. Anything longer would have probably started to burn the leaf. Probably had I done it at 212, it would have burnt the leaf. So I think that understeeping it temperature-wise, but not time-wise, was the perfect idea. And there's a kind of like, there's a certain sweetness that tastes like it's coming out of a bottle. You know, like you drink the apple juice, and it's exactly what you would expect. This is like super sweet, very full flavored. It's actually kind of bold if you think about it, because the flavor is so vibrant, and it's bright. It's a little bit airy, so I'm getting a good amount of sweetness from it. Because it's such a light and kind of a playful flavor. This is actually something that I would drink during the summer, and it tastes incredible. Like I would have this iced in a heartbeat, because the flavor of it is just really, really nice. Now you guys know I love oolongs. I've always preferred Taiwanese over Chinese. Not to say that Chinese oolongs are bad, but you know it's more of just a personal preference, and it also depends on my mood. I'm also a really moody tea drinker, so I generally go to the Taiwanese oolongs over the Chinese. However, there are some really, really nice Chinese oolongs out there that I would drink probably more towards the fall season, because they have a very hearty, earthy, more bold flavor. Oh, excuse me, rather than the light vegetal flavors that you would get out of a Taiwanese oolong. Now, I've talked about the way that oolongs in Taiwan are created. So what they do is they pluck the leaf and they dry it out for a little bit. And the way that they process it is that they would ball it up a little bit and press down and try to bruise the leaf just a little bit, and ball it a little bit more, bruise it, and then toss it on a fire, usually on a wok. And they would have it heated up, and then they would pull everything out, let it cool, and then do the same thing over again, just spinning it around and then squeezing, bruising, tossing it back in the fire. And they usually do that about 7 or 8 times, depending on the blend. And then at the end of it, they do a final fire, which locks in all the flavor. So to get the vegetal taste along, like it's kind of a milkiness to it, they lock it all in on that final fire. Now, if I'm not mistaken, I'm sure I am. TheCommuni-Tea has more of those turns on the fire than regular oolongs like jade oolong, milk oolongs, or alishans. They tend to be a little bit more earthy and more floral, but there is a certain technique to it. I'm wondering if I can mimic that with these leaves. I'm gonna try it. I know that these have already been processed, and I'm not going to put it up again. But let's see if I can ball it up. I'd probably be terrible at this. So you saw the leaf as it was when it was open. Ball it up and then squeeze it. You can feel the juices coming out of the leaf. Then you ball it up some more. Squeeze it. And you don't want to crush it. You don't want to break the leaf. As you can see, it's still in one piece, kind of crushed, but I mean, that's part of the natural process. There we go. So the leaf is still relatively unharmed. Those tears were there before I got to it, so I'm not taking the blame for it. So you get the nice oxidation. That is the actual oxidation of it when they bruise the leaf. Other times they, for regular green teas, it's usually done in the fire where they bruise the leaf with whatever it is that they're mixing on the fire. So they would not really break it. They would bruise it, stir for a little bit, bruise it again, stir for a little bit, and so on. Other times they would, after it's oxidized, however they're going to oxidize it, they'll pull everything out, let it cool, and then either roll it or twist it by hand. And then they throw it back in after it's shaped. They'll throw it back in for the final fire, and then pull it out and package it and send it to the distributors. Oh, that's so good. And now that it's cooling off, it's maintaining that flavor. I am certainly enjoying this. It's got it's got a slight mouthfeel. Wow, this is super clear in your cup, no residue. Oh yeah, absolutely. Because there's very little added to it. They do have the apple pieces, which I can pull out clearly. Right here, little apple pieces, they're dried, and it's more like apple chips. Unlike other brands that I've had that use apple chunks, these are very thinly cut. So you're going to get a good amount of flavor out of it rather easily, as opposed to having apple chunks where you would have to steep it a little bit longer to get it out. But those, I mean, there's not really that big of a difference between the two. It's just different methods to get the same goal. Now you're going to see very, very little powder on the very bottom, uh, but because there's no spices and there's not much else in the ingredients, you're going to get a really clear liqueur. The only thing that you would be getting, possibly, because as you can see, there's very, very little of it, is whatever washes off of the apple itself. So you're gonna get a nice, clear blend. You can see right through it. I'm trying to find like the right description for this color, and I'm just drawing a blank because it's like you don't really find anything like this that's natural. You know, I mean, like it's not green enough to be grass. It's not copper. It's not. It's like. I mean, even apple juice itself is more brown than this. It's super clear and it's like pale yellow. On the screen, it looks kind of like golden, but in person, it's barely got a color. Maybe if I put it against the light over here, it'll help define it a little bit. I can't think of anything really that is this particular color. Mm. And there is like super hydrated pea. Ooh, that's not exactly the most appetizing way to describe it. I mean, I would say this would be very, very vague. But if you took a blossom, like a flower blossom, and you squeezed the bottom, all the juices from the bottom would have that light green color because it's mostly water. And that's the best way that I can describe it. I don't know how relatable that is. It's like I'm pulling at strings here. I'm not sure how exactly to describe it. But there is a slight mouthfeel. Probably the texture comes from the apple. Oh, excuse me. So it's not like a completely watered experience. It's more, there's a slight kind of graininess that you would get from an apple juice. Or any rock fruit, really. It's very slight, like a very, 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 very smooth applesauce. You know? Oh, I'm sure you still like healthy pea, but I don't think anybody would want to drink that. So I'm trying to avoid that comparison. But like I mean, like the comparison might be unavoidable, especially since you keep bringing it up. But yeah, I mean, I love how clear the liqueur is. I mean, it's just absolutely gorgeous all the way through. All it is that pale green color. And even as it cools, it's maintaining that flavor, which is something that I find extraordinary. A lot of teas don't do that. Like the flavor profile changes quite drastically in some cases between hot and cold. Now this tea was brewed at 100 and what did I say, like 190 or so. So it was never super duper hot to begin with. If I were to keep it super duper hot, I would change the time from the 5-minute steep to a 3-minute steep tops. I would keep an eye on it just to make sure that it doesn't go over. But if I had that experience, I believe I'd still have that same kind of flavor with, and it would maintain throughout the extreme temperatures of 212 down to 190, down to 160, and so on and so forth. Even if I was to put ice in it, I believe that it would still maintain that beautiful apple sweetness that that I'm absolutely loving at this point. Oh man, I forgot to do the Thomas taste. I had my I had my opportunity right there. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and take the Thomas taste now and see how see if I can find anything out of it. Oh, you're sold? You know you only like your tea cold? Oh yeah. I mean, I would definitely recommend this for you. This is, I mean, it's very, very full flavored. Like there's no denying it. You won't miss any flavor, and you won't even have to add any sweeteners to it because it's got that apple sweetness to it. You'll love it. But when I did the Thomas taste, I was able to find a little bit more of the floral to it. Like it's kind of hard to find a little bit because the apple is very bold, and it's covering a lot of flavor. But as I held it in my tongue, and I was able to breathe through my nose, I was able to pick up the notes of the floral from it, and it's really good. Like it's kind of hard to find, but it's beautiful in its simplicity. Like I don't want to say that this is a simple flavor because that's kind of underselling it. But by the same token, there's an overwhelming flavor of apple, and it's really sweet, really nice, really relaxing. But you have to kind of search hard for the floral in it. And you know, that's something that's not typical of a tea Kuan Yin. Usually if you drink enough tea Kuan Yin, you can identify it like that, you know. But in this case, I would never have imagined that it was a tea Kuan Yin. I would think more of a milk oolong because that tends to be on the sweet side as well. But this one is a tea Kuan Yin, and I wouldn't have known it unless I read it on the label. So yeah, I think that's more of a strength when you can hide the obvious flavor of one thing so well, and it gives it a kind of surprise to it. Okay, so questions, comments. I'm opening up the floor again. Now's the time to ask anything that you want to know. I'll go ahead and answer Teresa's question like I always do every week. What would I pair this with? Being a sweet tea, I have to go with dessert. So of course, you know, easiest answer is apple pie. You know, it's got that complimentary taste already, so I would definitely do it with apple pie. What else? The taste you described is typical of a Taiwanese blend. Which taste? Because like, oh yeah, strudel definitely. It's got the notes of the crust already inside it, like on that residue. But like the taste I described is more the flowery taste and notes. Well, yeah, but specifically. Tea Kuan Yin you do get the flowery. Well, let me rephrase that. Specifically, the Tea Kuan Yin is more towards a specific flower, the orchid. So it's got that kind of scented note to it. When it's not really scented at all. It's just roasted to that particular degree, where it brings out a flowery scent that's akin to orchid, if that makes sense. Kind of like jasmine tea. The way that it's created, they bring in actual jasmine flowers and let the tea absorb the scent. They don't do that with tea Kuan Yin. With tea Kuan Yin, it's just roasted to bring that out. So that's the difference between the scented tea and a TheCommuni-Tea. It's not really altered chemically in any way. I mean, I hate to use the word chemically because if you're scenting a tea with flower, you're not really using chemicals. But I'm using the term in the general sense where you're changing the what's the word? Let's say we're changing kind of the chemical makeup of the blend rather than the chemistry of it, if that makes sense. I'm kind of like it's hard for me to describe it. Hey Ani, welcome. I see you lurking out there. Oh, that is so good, and I love the way that it's maintaining the flavor all the way through. It's nice and sweet and really juicy. Like I have tried a lot of flavored blends with it where it's all fruit. Like I did one years ago called Berry Cream Compote, and that was all fruit and a couple of flowers. But the hey Joy, hey Rachel, welcome. The flavor of it in that sense, I lost my train of thought. What was I saying? I don't know, I forgot. But I'll go back to the last thing I remembered. I had my save point. It was the chemical makeup. They were adding the chemistry. You see, I hate to say because it's still not that accurate. They were adding a floral scent to the tea, and that gave it. I mean, doesn't really change the chemical, or does it? Because I mean, I really have got to look this up now. It's bothering me because the leaf itself absorbs the fragrance from the jasmine flower. So technically, it does change the chemical composition of it because it's adding something new that's sticking. It's not exactly like you add water and it gets wet kind of a deal. It's more like it's absorbing the scent and it becomes part of the leaf. I have really got to see if that is a change in the chemistry. Now I'm super. I've got to call people. I'm super curious. Oh well, yeah. I'll see if I can get an answer for you guys, and probably I'll post it or something. I don't know. This is it's really bothering me now, and it shouldn't, but natural curiosity. Okay, questions, comments, anything you want to talk about, now's the time. I don't know if I answered Teresa's question incomplete. I had like another food lined up in my head, but I got sidetracked. It'll come back to me. But I mean, if you would pair anything with apples, ham, a baked ham. People love to have ham with like applesauce. So yeah, let's. I'll say baked ham. Oh, excuse me. Oh, okay. Anyway, announcements. I don't have any announcements quite yet, but I do have some good news. The CDC has now relaxed their mask regulations, so I can see myself making some outings and hopefully some tea. We can take in some tea classes in the Chicago area. Pork chops and applesauce. Yes, see, that's what I'm talking about. I don't know why I said ham. I mean, I'm sure somebody has applesauce with ham. Me personally, I don't eat ham. So I knew that there was some pork pork product or pork cut to that makes applesauce. It took me like I was trying to find it. You busted me. I don't always know what I'm talking about. But yeah. That being said, I can see myself looking into organizing more outings from here on in. Ham and pineapple. I mean, apple, pineapple, same difference. They both have apple in it. But I can see that we're gonna start going out, hopefully, more often with the mask restrictions lifting just in time for summer. So keep on the lookout. If you have any suggestions for tea related activities, let me know. And we'll get things going. I do have some connections, so we'll see. I guess that's it for my stream. I don't have any other announcements. So thank you all for joining me. This was a really great blend. So I'll be adding the link in the description. Until next time, have a wonderful week and a great weekend, and I'll see you next time. Bye.